Hi Addy, welcome to lesson number 91. I'm super excited about this lesson because we are moving right along in this book. And this one is actually really fun and useful because it goes over geometric formulas. Yeah, you have to memorize a few formulas, but you know what? It's going to be useful because these formulas have to be in your brain because they're going to be on every test that you take from now until the rest of your life, right? So here we go. First of all, what do you get when you take a bovine, you know a bovine is a cow, and divide its circumference by its diameter? Did you hear that, Addy? No. Okay, she didn't hear it. Good, because I'm going to write the answer, which is the punchline of the joke, because Addy's sitting next to me right now, and I don't want to give it away. Did you see it? Okay, there's the answer. Get it? It's hilarious. Okay, but it's actually, it should be this, because that's how you spell it in mathematical terms. Okay, let's move on. I'm going to actually let you pause it here and do your own 5-minute timer. So I know you have to do your 72 multiplication and division facts. So pause the video, take 5 minutes to do those facts, okay? Don't forget to write down your time. And I'm going to move on to the rest of mental math, okay? And we are going to count by 1/3 from 1/3 all the way to 4. So there's no negative numbers, so we don't exactly have to do a number line, so I'll erase that. And we're going to reduce the fractions as we go, okay? So we're going to do, well, let me get a different color. Here we go. 1/3, 2/3, and the next one would be 3/3, but we're going to reduce that to 1. Okay, so let's start over. 1/3, 2/3, 1. 1 and 1/3, 1 and 2/3, 2. 2 and 1/3, 2 and 2/3, 3. 3 and 1/3, 3 and 2/3, 4. Easy peasy, right? You got it. High five to both of us. You're going to see a lot of The Office GIFs in this video. All right, here we go. Let's do the rest of mental math. We're going to do 5 squared plus the square root of 100. So what I would do is I would do this one first and this one, and the last thing you do is add. So remember order of operations. Do this first, do this, and then add last. Okay, B, what is 1,000 minus 875? Write your answer. If I'm going too fast, you can always pause it. C, what is 699 times 5? That's a little tricky. Of course, I might do this, 7 times 5, and then think, I have to subtract 5 pennies from that because that's not quite 7, right? Okay, D. What if you double $125? You'd have some good money there, huh? E. What is 12.5 divided by 100? We're going to be moving that decimal, huh? Is it going to get bigger or smaller at that number? Jackpot. Okay. F, what is 20 times 42? You know what? I might take the 2 and just double this and then add the 0 to the end because it's like, this is like 2 times 10. So you can do 2 times 42. And then 10 times whatever your answer is, right? Okay, G, this is a long one. Ready? We're going to start with the number 3 times 4. Then we're going to divide by 2, multiply by 3, add 2, multiply by 2, add 2, divide by 2, and then divide by 3. Tricky. All right, and problem solving. Michael looks like he doesn't have any problems in that video, huh? Okay, we are going to copy this problem and fill in the missing digits, and they give you a rule. It says no two digits in the problem are going to be alike. So you cannot put like a 2 here and a 2 here. If you use a 2 somewhere, you have to not use it somewhere else. This is tricky. I asked you today if you know how to do these, and you seem to be able to be working them out. So I'm going to let you pause it here and do that, okay? And we're going to go on to the new concept. Nope, don't like that. Michael, you don't like that? Come on, new concept. You'll love it. All right. The new concept is this. You already know how to calculate the area of a rectangle like this. And what you do when you want to calculate the area, and remember that's all the space in between. So if like this is a room, it's how much carpet you will need in the entire room. That's different from the perimeter, which is just going around the sides. Okay, so if you want to know the area, you multiply the length times the width. And it turns out that you do that for every single rectangle that you will come across. That's how you find the area. So if the area for every single rectangle is always the length times the width, then you can say that that's a formula. And this is the formula over here. So I've written it here. And remember that everything that I put in a cloud like that, that's something you have to memorize, because there's going to be problems about it and they're not going to give you the formula. You're just going to have to figure it out. So it's in a thought cloud. Memorize it. Take some time. Let that sink in. A stands for area. L stands for length. W stands for width. Okay, the other thing to make sure of is make sure that you're always using the same types of units. So if they give you centimeters here, then you have to know the centimeters in the width, and then the area is going to be centimeters squared. Okay? Now, if you look at this chart in your book, this lists all the formulas that you need to know. So let's go over them, okay? Let's start with the square. Now right here, I have a picture of the square. So how would you figure out the perimeter of the square? Well, if one of these, the length of one of these, we call it S for side, then you would do the perimeter is equal to side plus side plus side plus side. Or you can simplify that and then just say, I'll make it in red, perimeter equals 4 times S. And that's what it is every single time if it's a square, because if it's a square, by definition, all the sides are the same length. Okay, so that is one of the formulas that you have to memorize. Okay, now what is the area of a square? The area of a square, instead of doing 4 times S, it's this kind of the same as like a rectangle, right? So I'm going to take away that. Area is A. The area of a rectangle would be the length times the width. But since the length and the width are the same for a square, we can just say S times S, and that simplifies to S squared. I just realized I wrote a bad word. I'm sorry. Okay, let's just say A is equal to S squared, okay? And that is this formula right here. Okay, now rectangle, let's do the rectangle. The rectangle, we kind of just went over it, so the area is going to be the length times the width. How would you do the perimeter? The perimeter is going to be the length all the way around, remember? So like you'll do length plus width plus length plus width. So the perimeter is going to be length times 2, because there's 2 lengths, plus width also times 2. So this is the formula for the perimeter of a rectangle. And if you think about it, it makes sense. 2L plus 2W. The area of a rectangle, you already know, length times width. What about if it's a parallelogram? Okay, a parallelogram is different because there's different measurements here. So, for example, this is going to be side. So we'll call this side S. And then the bottom part of it, so like from here to here, that's called the base. And it goes from here to here. You do not start here. Okay. And then there's a different measurement because this is a right angle. Whoops. It should be a little square here indicating that it's a right angle. And this is called the height, or just H. And that is the distance from the top to the bottom, but it has to be at a right angle or perpendicular to the base. Okay, now that you know those terms, this is the side, this is the height, this is the base, let's go over the formula for a parallelogram. Okay, the formula for a parallelogram, if you're talking about perimeter, let's do perimeter first. What would we have to add together? We would have the base times 2, so I'm going to put 2b, and then we would have the side times 2, and they're added together. This is the formula for the perimeter of a parallelogram. And do you have to memorize it? Yes, sirree, Bob. Okay, now what's the area of a parallelogram? The area is going to be, this is cool, the base times the height. So that's one of the formulas you have to know. And it's this base times this height. And I think we proved that in one of our former lessons. And what they're going to do here, the way that they're going to try to trick you, but they're not going to trick you because you're too smart for them, they'll give you the base and they'll give you the height, but they'll also give you the side. And some people who are not as smart as you might do base times the side. No way, that's not it. It's base times the height. If you're talking about a parallelogram, the area is the height and the base multiplied together. Easy peasy. Let's do a triangle. So here's the triangle. What are the formulas that you need to know? Well, first let's define some of the lengths here. This bottom part is called the base, or B, and that goes from here to here. Okay, then we also have a side, and that goes from here to here. And this is, we're going to call this, well, okay, let me do this. This could also be a side. This could be a side, and this could be a side. So let's call this one, the bottom one, side number 1, or S1. Let's make it S sub 1. Okay. Now this side is going to be different. It doesn't have to be the same. It could be any length. So side, we'll call this side 2 or S2. What about this side? It's going to be side 3 or S3. And the last measurement is this one. This is the height because it's perpendicular to the base. So it's perpendicular, you have to know that, and it's height. I'll just put an H for height. Okay, so those are all the measurements. And notice that this one has 2 names. It can be the base, it can also be the side one. Excuse me. Okay, so what is the formula for perimeter of a triangle? It's okay, just add up the lengths of the sides. So it's going to be side 1 plus side 2 plus side 3. You can't really simplify that because they're all different lengths. All right, cool. Easy peasy. Memorize it. What about the area of a triangle? Area is equal to 1/2 the base times the height. This comes up all the time on tests. They love this stuff on AP tests. So remember that. Remember this. And this one too. It should be green, but that's okay. All right, let's move on. Let's go to our example. This is on page 490. Okay, ready? It says, write the formula for the perimeter of a rectangle. I'm just going to draw a rectangle to help me visualize it. Okay, and I love that that makes it perfect for me. And then it says substitute 8 centimeters for the length. So the length is here. I'm going to write 8 centimeters. And substitute 5 centimeters for the width. So the width is here, 5 centimeters. Solve the equation to find P. So they want to know the perimeter. What is perimeter? It's the distance of all the way around, like if you're a tiny little bug walking the lengths, all those lengths, how far would you have gone? Well, you go 8 centimeters here, you go 5, you go another 8, and you go another 5. So you could figure it out just by knowing what a perimeter is. You could say it's 8 plus 5 plus 8 plus 5, or you could just memorize the formula and know that. So the formula is this. Perimeter equals 2L plus 2W. And then when you do that, you don't even have to draw a picture because then you know what to do right away. We're going to take that 8 centimeters and put it anywhere we see an L. And we're going to take the 5 centimeters and we're going to put it anywhere we see a W. So let's write the equation again. Perimeter equals 2 times 8 plus 2 times 5. Now, remember order of operations. You have to multiply before you add. So the perimeter is going to be 2 times 8 is 16 plus 2 times 5 is 10. 16 plus 10 is 26. And what's our units? Centimeters, because you're like a ladybug walking that whole distance. How far did you go? 26 centimeters. Easy peasy. Alrighty, that is the whole lesson. So now you get to practice with your homework. And I know what you're thinking. Bring it on. You got this, right? All right, have fun doing your math today. Love you, Addy. Bye.